who comes along, Core is one of those guys, and who comes along, and I think this is really the question about him. I said he is one of those guys. Is he one of those guys? Like Purnell, like Roy, like Floyd, their defenses were so good, and they boxed in a way where they weren't going to take unnecessary risks. They weren't running and holding. You know, I had a problem with the second half of the Haney-Norman fight because I felt like they continue to box. Purnell did, Roy did, and Shakur does now, right? But when a guy has those advantages in boxing skill and speed, and they don't take risks, they are almost impossible to beat. So no matter who Purnell was fighting, no matter who Roy was fighting, if someone would have asked me who they're going to be, they're fighting Godzilla, Purnell. They're fighting Roy. Shakur has that look to me, and the style to me, but does he rise to that level? Because it's not enough just to have that. It has to be executed at an extremely high level. Do you guys feel like he has that look to you?
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. So, Max Kellerman takes every opportunity he possibly can to throw a jab at Devin the Dream Haney. Undefeated 3-division champion, former undisputed lightweight, former WBC junior welterweight, and reigning WBO welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Devin the Dream Haney, who will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Remember, Max Kellerman, he decided to say that, you know, Devin Haney is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but not a great fighter. Right? And again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody. But we use our fighters, or the boxing world uses our fighters against each other. And so he's describing Olympic silver medalist, undefeated 3-division champion, former unified super featherweight, reigning WBC lightweight world champion, superstar boxer, Shakur Stevenson, who is going to be stripped of his WBC title, I'm assuming, the moment he steps in the ring with Teofimo Lopez, as Lamont Roach is going to be stripped. So Shakur is going to fight a super fight against highly decorated 2-division champion, superstar boxer, former unified lightweight, reigning WBO junior welterweight, Teofimo Lopez, right? And Teofimo Lopez is a wild card, to say the least, right? You never know what you're going to get from Teofimo Lopez. You just simply don't know, right? Teofimo Lopez is 22 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 13 wins by way of knockout. Teofimo Lopez lost to George Kambosos in a shocking manner. I thought he's going to beat Kambosos. He got dropped by Kambosos and then lost to Kambosos. And everybody has an excuse as to why Teofimo Lopez lost the fight to George Kambosos. But I believe that history has showed us that Teofimo Lopez fights to the level of his competition. Period. He just does. He fights to the level of his competition. And George Kambosos wasn't a big fight. They said it was going to be in Australia for $10 million. It was in New York at Madison Square Garden for less than $10 million. Obviously, way less. And I don't think he was motivated. And he lost. With that said, you never know what you're going to get from Teofimo. You know what you're going to get from Shakur. He's a defensive-minded first fighter who's a counter-puncher, who's very slick, southpaw, converted southpaw. He's naturally right-handed. That's why his jab is so powerful. And Teofimo Lopez has shown us that when he fought southpaws like Sandor Martin, Jermaine Ortiz, he struggled, right? But when he fought southpaws at the highest level, like Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, he dominated them. Those are 2 Hall of Famers. He dominated them. But he gets unofficially dropped by Sandor Martin twice, arguably loses. Nonetheless, Max Kellerman takes the opportunity to throw a jab at Devin Haney, who had nothing to do with this fight. Nothing. And he goes in about the holding. Okay? But at the same time saying that Shakur Stevenson, Pernell Whitaker, Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, those great fighters were defensive minded and they didn't take risks. And if they didn't take risks, you wasn't going to beat them. Okay. But then he says Devin Haney in the second half of Brian Norman Jr. fight, where 90% of people thought he was going to get knocked out, Devin Haney. Devin Haney in the second half, when he was dominating the fight, decided that he was going to clinch. What is the difference between Devin Haney clinching and a fighter not being active, just being defensive minded and staying away? Neither one of them are doing anything. Neither one of them are doing anything. If I hold you, I'm not doing anything. And if I'm defensive minded and not taking a risk, I'm not doing anything. What is the difference? If you up in the Super Bowl 28-0 in the fourth quarter, like the Atlanta Falcons was with the Patriots, and you just start throwing the ball over the place, anybody, my American fans, football fans, they understand. You stop the clock. You slow the game down. You don't want to stop the clock. You want to run the ball so that way you run the clock out. You're not going to be aggressive, as they call it. Right? You won't be aggressive. You allow the clock to run out because they have to catch up now. They have to make the adjustment. So Pernell Whitaker, Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones, etc., didn't need to. If they so far ahead on the scoreboard, if you're in the NBA Finals and you up 25 points going into the fourth quarter, why would you start chucking up three-pointers? Just to please the fans. To allow them to get back in the game. If you Devin Haney, Brian Norman is a knockout artist. Highlight reel knockouts in his last 3 fights. Knockout of the year with Jin Sasaki in June. Why would you run the risk of getting hit with something you don't see, clipped with something you don't see, and knocked out in the fight that you're winning? That makes 0 sense. If you Shakur Stevenson, Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, so on and so forth, they so ahead on the scorecards, they up 8 rounds to nothing. Why would they suddenly start taking risk to please Max Kellerman and run the risk of getting knocked out when it's up to their opponent to make the adjustment? It's not up to them. If Devin Haney is clinching and Brian Norman has no answer for it, it's not Devin Haney. It's not up to Devin Haney. He's so far ahead on the scorecards. Why would he take the risk? It's asinine. It's silly. In every other sport in the world, you will be considered an absolute fool for doing so. It's a fireable offense for a coach. I'm a huge 49er fan. Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons. He still has not lived that Super Bowl loss down because he decided to continue to be aggressive and throw the ball, which allowed the Patriots to come back in the game and win the Super Bowl when the Atlanta Falcons had the Super Bowl in hand. He allowed them back in the game. And he has never lived it down to this day. The Houston Oilers with the Buffalo Bills, when they was up by 30-something points and they kept throwing the ball and let the Buffalo Bills back in the game. It's called the most epic collapse in NFL playoff history. And it was stupidity. Like I said, stupidity is contagious. Meldrick Taylor and Julio Cesar Chavez. Winning every round, takes a chance, gets clipped, and loses in the 12th round. Why? To entertain Max Kellerman when he already had it in the bag? It makes 0 sense, people. None. It's absolutely asinine. Period. Point blank and period. You don't take risk. It's up to your opposition to force you out of that prevent defense. Period. And that's all I got for y'all, man. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm gone. Peace.